This hanging ends now.
What are you doing?
Stay back, Sheriff, or I'll drop you.
They said she'd hang at dawn for a crime she didn't commit. The whole town came to watch until a lone rider appeared on the horizon. Black hat, cold eyes, and a name that made even killers tremble. What he said next stopped the noose from tightening. You'll want to hear this one till the end, because what that gunslinger did changed the meaning of love and revenge forever. But first, hit that likey button and subscribe to our LEDG Stars, where every tale rides through fire, heartbreak, and redemption. The town of Red Hollow was already awake before the sun was. The air stank of whiskey and dust, and the gallows creaked in the wind like an old man's jaw. Folks gathered early, miners, ranch hands, and widows in black, all come to see the hanging of Evelyn Shaw, the so-called bandit bride. She stood silent on the wooden platform, hands bound, hair tangled, a rope brushing her shoulder like death's whisper. They said she'd robbed the federal coach and shot 2 men dead. The sheriff swore she'd smiled when she pulled the trigger, but those who looked close, real close, saw something else in her eyes, pain, not pride. A storm that didn't belong to a killer. The clock struck 6, 1 hour till dawn. Sheriff Briggs stepped up, reading from his paper, voice steady and self-righteous. By order of law, Evelyn Shaw shall hang by the neck until dead, for crimes against the territory of New Mexico. Evelyn's lips trembled, but she said nothing. Her hands tightened, not from fear, but from something deeper. Betrayal. The man who'd framed her still walked free. Marshall Crane, her late husband's former partner. The same man who'd sworn to protect her after her husband's death. And now he stood in the crowd, smug as a vulture. The crowd murmured as the sky blushed gold. A distant rumble rolled through the hills, faint at first, then sharper hooves. A single rider tearing through the desert wind like vengeance itself. Who in hell's riding this way at dawn? A deputy muttered. The rider came fast, black duster coat flapping, silver revolvers glinting under the rising sun. His horse was dark as coal, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hat every outlaw in the West feared. When he reined in before the gallows, silence swallowed the town whole. The sheriff's hand went to his gun. Name yourself, stranger. The rider lifted his head, voice like gravel. Name's Jace Calderon. That every man in Red Hollow froze. The ghost of the borderlands. A legend, a killer of killers. He looked up at Evelyn, eyes burning beneath shadow. She ain't dying today, he said. She's my bride. The crowd erupted. Gasps, whispers, curses. Sheriff Briggs barked. That woman's a condemned felon. You best ride on, Calderon, before I... Jace's revolver was already drawn, gleaming in the sunlight. Before you what, Sheriff? Hang an innocent woman so you can split her husband's ranch with Marshall Crane. The sheriff froze, color draining from his face. Jace rode his horse up the gallows steps, slow, deliberate. Evelyn stared at him, disbelief and fear mixing in her trembling gaze. Why are you here? She whispered. He holstered his gun. Because your husband once saved my life. Said if I ever owed him a favor, I'd give it to you. Guess that day's come. The sheriff spat. You can't just ride in and claim her like cattle. Jace dismounted, boots thudding against the boards. I can. Under Territory Law 187, a condemned woman can be spared execution if she takes lawful marriage before sunrise. The crowd went dead quiet. Jace took off his hat, turned to Evelyn. You trust me? Her voice shook. No. He smiled faintly. Good? Means you're sane. He faced the sheriff again. Get your clerk. I'll pay the bond. You'll die for this. Crane growled from the crowd, hand near his gun. Jace's eyes didn't move from Evelyn. Maybe, but not before she gets a second sunrise. Minutes later, the papers were signed, the news untied, and the crowd left in stunned silence as the most feared gunslinger in the West led a newly freed woman through the dust and dawn. His new bride by law and by promise. They rode until the horizon blood red. Jace didn't talk much, just led her to an old, half-burned cabin deep in the desert hills. Safe here, he said. Evelyn sat by the fire that night, staring into the flames. You think saving me makes you a hero? She asked. Jace looked at her. No. Heroes die broke and forgotten. I'm just paying a debt. But why call me your bride? He leaned back, eyes on the stars. Because no one else could have stopped that hanging. Silence stretched between them. Then Evelyn spoke, voice raw. Crane did it. He killed my husband. Made it look like I ran off with the gold. Jace's jaw tightened. I know. Her head snapped up. You know? He tossed a folded paper onto the floor. A confession signed and sealed. Found this 3 months ago. Been tracking him ever since. Was waiting for the right time. Evelyn's hands shook. You could have cleared my name. Wouldn't have mattered, he said softly. Crane owns the sheriff, the judge, half the town. But he don't own me. Outside, the night wind howled like judgment. Jace stood. Get some rest, Mrs. Calderon. Tomorrow we finish this. They rode back to Red Hollow at sunrise. Word had already spread the ghost had returned, and this time he wasn't riding for mercy. Crane waited in the street, gunbelt low, pride high. You should have stayed gone, Calderon. Jace dismounted, hand resting on his revolver. You hangs the wrong soul, Marshal. Now you answer for it. A Crane smirked. Law's on my side, Jace nodded. Then let the law draw first. The street went still. One breath, one heartbeat, one flash of light. Crane hit the dirt before his smoke even cleared. The town stood silent, and when Evelyn walked out from behind Jace, every man lowered his hat. She wasn't a bandit anymore. She was the woman who lived, the bride the gallows couldn't take. That night, as they rode past the edge of town, Evelyn looked at Jace and whispered, You saved me. He shook his head. No, you saved yourself. I just made sure the world saw it. The narrator's closing voice fades like wind over the plains. In the West, some love stories ain't written in rings and roses, but in gun, smoke, and redemption. If this tale stirred your heart, don't forget to like and subiescribe to our ege stories.